Happy Wednesday afternoon. It is Nicky Stees here. I'm going to talk some 76ers basketball. And if you've been following me throughout the season, you know I've done these usually once a month. And here I am today as of March 15th, 2023. And how it's going to go down this one, what I'm going to be an overview of what I'm going to do. First, going to start giving a little bit of a recap of what the Sixers been up to lately, where they stand, how momentum's going. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. Then, second main subject I'm going to talk about is tonight. The 76ers play the Cavs tonight. We're going to go talk about that game a little bit, take a look at the injury report, see how both teams are faring headed into this matchup. So I'm going to give a little bit of a preview of that. Then, going to discuss the MVP race. Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic? Who should win MVP? Matter of fact, there's the poll. If you're on the YouTube side of it, on the right-hand side of the screen, in the chat tab, asking who you think should be the MVP between Embiid and Jokic. You can vote on that poll. Give me your take on who you think should win the MVP award. So I'll discuss that. Then, last but not least, I'm going to give a little bit of a preview of the remainder of the season, of what their schedule looks like, where I think they'll fall by the time the season's over. Without any further ado, let's get into it. And there you see by the banner, the 76ers, as of right now, they're third place in the Eastern Conference as of today. If the season ended today, they would be the number 3 seed. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to pull up the standings right now for each conference to give you a look of where things are right now. And I'm going to share the screen with you in one moment. See if it works, and yes, it does work. Here we go. You got Bucks number 1 seed. They've already clinched the playoffs officially. Got Celtics 2, but they've started to take a trip a little bit. Sixers might have a chance. We'll see. They're the number 3 seed as of right now. Didn't get the 4 seed, the Cavs, who we play tonight. Even if we lose that game, we'll still be the number 3 seed because they have more losses than we do. And then you have the Knicks 5, Nets 6, Heat, Hawks, Raptors, and Wizards would be in the play-in tournament if the season ended today. That's where we stand as of right now in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Sixers, as of lately, they've been playing they've been winning games. They've been finding ways to win games. It hasn't always been pretty, but they're still winning games. I mean, obviously, look, things are looking up. Obviously, things are looking up. There is a chance they could work their way up. Maybe number 2 seed, possibly, like I said. But hey, momentum's on their side lately. That hasn't always been pretty the way they play these games. However, they are finding ways to win, and that's helping them out in the home stretch. Now, remember last year in March and then April, the Sixers started to lose some games, including an embarrassing loss to the Pistons late in the regular season last year. However, this time around, it's looking like they're going to be moving in the right direction. Hopefully they won't fall off in April like they did last year. And as of right now, their past 5 games, those games include a win over the Bucks on March 4th, that Saturday. It's got a win against the Pacers in a tight contest. A win over the Timberwolves, which I live streamed last Tuesday. Then you had that comeback win against the Blazers on Friday with Embiid making the game winner. Then on Sunday, we had a win over the Wizards. And as of right now, we're up to 5 straight wins. That's pretty good. Because we came back from the All-Star break. Things were looking at first. I mean, first you had a couple, 2, we lost 3 out of 4 there. We lost twice we lost to the Celtics, lost to the Heat, lost to the Mavs. They looked like things were starting to go a little bit back down, but then the Sixers started to move momentum back up. So things are pretty good as of right now, momentum-wise. And the biggest thing I'm seeing from the Sixers right now is Joel Embiid. He is absolutely playing lights out right now. Absolute lights out right now. Especially as of late, he's been really balling in. And he's going out there, putting up points, really just delivering for this team. He's averaging over 30 points a game. And Embiid, he is a force to be reckoned with this year, folks. A force. So I have got to give him credit for. Hold up a second. All right, how's my screen doing? Is it freezing? Is my screen frozen? What's going on here? Hold on a second. All right, let me see. Okay, so my screen's working out pretty good. All right, it was frozen there for a second. I apologize. So back to it now. As I was saying, Embiid's the main reason this team's been balling out as of lately. He's been playing lights out throughout the season. And that puts him obviously as a front runner for the MVP award. However, should he be the MVP? I'll get to that in a little bit. Now, for Embiid, but yeah, he's been actually a big part of this. He's been leading in scoring in this 5-game winning streak for the 5 games. The one game he wasn't the leading scorer in, the win against the Bucks. Harden had 38 points in that one, so he helped lead the way in that one. And so far, it's been looking pretty good as of lately. I mean, sure, along the way, you've had a few cakewalk teams too. You had the Pacers in the mix. Timberwolves, one of the struggling teams out west. You've also had the Trailblazers, Wizards. Not exactly the strongest competition either. So, yes, while things are moving in the right direction and we're playing good as of now. Remember, though, too, this is against some lighter opposition. How are we going to do as a team when we step up and got to play a team like the Celtics or even the Miami Heat, who we played them twice recently and we split games with them? How's that going to go for the 76ers? We got to play them right there. That's a question you got to ask yourself right there. So, yeah, while things are looking up in the right direction, let's not get the championship hopes up quite just yet. Let's not go that far because we still don't know what's going on, whether this team's going to make it or not. We still don't know whether or not this team's actually going to be a true contender. We can't just say because they're in third place, because what if you got to factor in what's going to happen when they got to play those top teams in the playoffs. So I'm not jumping on we can make a run this year bandwagon yet. It's a little bit premature to say that. Even though things are headed in the right direction as of now going into the playoffs, the idea and assumption that, we're going to win a championship now because of the way we're playing, that's speaking a tad bit prematurely. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're doing good momentum-wise right now. Embiid, he's pretty much the one carrying this team. But here's the biggest thing with the 76ers. In terms of what separates a playoff team from a contender, they don't have a whole lot of help from their bench. Because, the bench, that's been throughout the whole season too. So you got to remember this is something else you got to factor in too when you're thinking about it. It isn't just a matter we're playing good and we're winning games. Yes, that looks great on paper, but there's more to it. You got to factor in, we winning? How's our bench do? But you get the point I'm saying, right? I'm not saying that this team's a bad team. I'm just saying I'm not sold on the idea that they're championship contenders. That's all I'm saying. So don't get the wrong idea of where I'm coming from here. I'm not sold on this idea of, we can compete for a championship. I'm thinking along the lines of, hey, this is a good regular season team. So far, we're putting in a good run through the season. As of late, we're doing good. We got a matchup tonight against the Cavs. Hopefully, we can get the W there, keep that momentum going. And we did beat the Cavs last time we played them, 118-112. So there's confidence for this team headed into this matchup tonight, which I'll get to that in a second. Right. And so obvious. Right. So I like what they're doing as of lately. I like the fact that they're in third place. That's a good position to be in. They haven't clinched the playoff spot yet, but we know it's coming. We know the 76ers are going to clinch that playoff spot ultimately. I said, shout out to Joel Embiid. He's been doing this thing, really helping this team. Now, I'm going to switch gears in just a moment. I'm going to preview tonight's matchup, 76ers versus Cavs. And you're wondering why I'm changing the color. I'm trying to pick a color that's exclusive to the Sixers instead of a neutral color because the Cavs have red. That's the reason why. That's all. But now let's get into it. Tonight we're going against the Cavs. We're coming into this 45-22. Cavs are 44-27. They're one place behind us. They're the fourth seed in the East. We're the third seed, as I illustrated at the beginning when I was sharing the screen of the standings. However, the thing is, because we have less losses than them, even if we lose this game, we're still the number 3 seed at the end of the night, regardless of the outcome of this game. What I want to do, though, is take a look at the injury report real quickly to see who's going to be playing in tonight's matchup and who's not. Let's take a look real quick. Give me 1 minute and I'll share the screen with you guys when I have it up. So I got the article up for you right now. I'm going to skip to the injury report part right here. All right, give me 1 moment. Just looking for the injury report. Okay, I'm almost there. Okay, you know what? I got you. We'll start with the projected starting lineups. I'm going to share the screen with you. All right, so the projected starters for the Cavs, it looks like their starting lineup will be Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, Lamar Stevens, and Evan Mobley. For our projected starters, it's going to be Harden, Maxey, Tobias, PJ, and Embiid. The obvious ones right there. For injury report, Cavs we don't know what their injury report is yet. Nothing submitted. And then you have, for the 76ers, only one questionable is Jalen McDaniels with the right hip. We'll see if he's going to play or not. That remains to be seen. Pretty much most of our guys, 2 healthy teams going into this. Most of the main guys will be playing, which is cool. We'll be getting to see our main guys going against the Cavs main guys. We'll be competing against Garland, Mobley, and those guys. That's good. It gives us the experience of playing against a good team with their main guys in the game. That's good. Yes, sir. Right, that means all right, that's good. That means we get to test ourselves against the Cavs' top guys because I don't want to be playing their bench guys, getting a win and trying to act like that's impressive. Because if we can go in there and beat the Cavs tonight with their starters, okay, that does well for us. That's good for momentum heading into the playoffs. So I want to see that there. Right? I don't want to be playing a Cavs team without Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, because to me that doesn't prove anything. If you beat them with their starters in there, that's looking good going forward. And like I said, we're healthy heading into this matchup. As long as we don't have any freak injuries tonight, yeah, things should be good going into this one. Now, the Cavs, we've played them a couple times this season. I remember we got blown out by them earlier in the year in embarrassing fashion. I did that game live with MK. Mitch, head of the Hardcore Sports Network. Right now, he's live with doing an NFL free agency stream. Nevertheless, though, I did that era. We led that game there. We lost. We did beat him a few weeks ago. So there's a chance that we could come out there and get the W, or there's a chance we can embarrass ourselves in this contest. Time will tell ultimately as to which one it'll be. Yeah, but it's going to be it's going to be in Cleveland, though. So that's going to be, we don't have home court advantage. Remember, we had the road stead. We lost a couple games on the road. So you have to look at that, too, as a factor that, hey, the Cavs have home court advantage for tonight as they're at home. There's a possibility there they could have advantage over us. But we'll see. It's going to be one of those games we're going to have to see ultimately. Now, the Cavs, though, the Cleveland Cavaliers, as of lately, they've taken a few L's since the All-Star break. They're not completely out of position like last year where they completely collapsed late in the season. However, as of lately, So since the All-Star break, and I'm actually going to share it with you guys. We beat them on February 15th. Then they lost to the Nuggets. They lost to the Hawks. They've lost to the Celtics. They split with the Heat. They split with the Celtics. And I'm going to actually share you the screen. You guys can see it for yourself. All right, there you go. So there you go. You start up here. 76ers, right? Lost the Nuggets, lost the Hawks, beat the Raptors, lost the Celtics. But since they lost the Celtics on March 1st, they've won most of their games since. They started to bounce back a little bit. And they did pretty good, winning 3 out of 4 on the road in a 4-game road stretch. The Cavs got a little bit of momentum coming this one. Now, granted, it was 2 wins against the Hornets and a win against the Heat, but hey, but you know what? Hey, it still counts for them. It still counts. So they do have some momentum in this matchup. There is a chance they could get one on us. But hey, we beat them before, so I know there's a chance we can beat them again. I think this time it's going to be a closer matchup. I think the Sixers have momentum in their way where it's not going to be a blowout like the time we lost to them earlier in the year. I think this could be an intriguing matchup, and we'll ultimately have to see who wins. Do you think the Sixers could win this matchup? I'm going to make a score prediction. I'm going to say 122-117. Sixers win. We'll ultimately have to see if that happens, though. Alrighty, now moving on to the discussion of the NBA MVP. Should Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic win the MVP award? Now, this is an interesting. Now, this seems like we're used to this by now. We usually are in a position where it comes down every year to Embiid and Jokic for MVP. Embiid and Jokic for MVP. It usually comes down to those two to determine who's going to win that award. And it looks like, here we go again, 2023 is calling for it again. I know the last 2 years Jokic won MVP. Now, that did in part have to do last year with the fact that Embiid missed some time. However, I feel like this time around, you got to have Embiid win the MVP award. He's got to win it this time around. Unless he gets injured now and doesn't finish the season, that's the only way Jokic can win his 3rd straight MVP. As long as Embiid makes it through the regular season, he should get the MVP nod over Jokic. And one of the biggest factors to that, as to why Embiid should win the MVP over Jokic, and no, it's not because I'm a Sixers fan. It ain't that. The reason why is because mainly Jokic hasn't been playing defense that great. Defense-wise, he hasn't been looking good at all this season. Whereas, on the other hand, with Embiid, he's at least getting a couple blocks on average. Now, don't get me wrong, Jokic is putting up some good numbers, too. He is. He's put up some good numbers. He's a good player. He's one of the top players out west. He's on the top team out there. This could maybe finally be the time the Denver Nuggets finally make a push to the NBA Finals and finally do something significant for a change. This could finally be that year. Maybe it is the year for the Denver Nuggets. That things finally start trending or in the upward. So maybe, yes, maybe that could very well happen. However, right. So Jokic is certainly a candidate for MVP. He's been balling out for that team. However, at the same time, like I said, one of the main flaws is his defense hasn't been there all the way. Whereas Embiid, he's playing the top level on both sides of the ball. I'm going to pull up something. Take a look at some of the season leaders right now. So right now, we're looking at the scene. I got it on NBA.com on my screen. The leader in the leaders for blocks per game. Embiid ranks 5th on season leaders for most blocks per game, or 6th, right there at number 6. He's on that list right there. Embiid's been making his presence felt on defense by blocking with the blocks. And don't tell me Embiid hasn't been doing anything spectacular there. Okay, steals. Yeah, you got Jokic is getting some steals too. He's at 22nd for steals on the season. However, he's all the way at 22nd. You see these guys, some of these guys ranking ahead of him. You got guys like OG Abanoe, Jimmy Butler, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Van Fleet, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, D'Anthony Melton's ahead of him. I mean, there's a lot of guys there ahead of Jokic. Yeah, I mean, he's putting up good numbers offensively and helping the Nuggets. However, his defensive presence hasn't been all the way there. I can't really consider him MVP in that regard. And look at points per game. Look who's leading the league. Look, Embiid's leading the league slightly ahead of Luka Doncic for points per game. So you got to factor in A, Embiid's playing better offensively, and two, he's the better defensive player. He's got to be the MVP. He's got to be, especially if you look at it from a non-biased point of view. Of course, that's nothing against Nikola Jokic at all, but it's just, if you take a closer look at how those two players are playing individually this year, clearly Embiid's playing better all around. It's just as simple as that. That's why I got him as the MVP. And now we know, though, sometimes politics plays a role in deciding who the regular season MVP is. It certainly plays a role. Because there have been plenty of times you thought that players were snubbed. Like, I know Kobe got snubbed in MVP. That was a word to Steve Nash back in 2006. Could argue that maybe Embiid should have gotten an MVP nod one of the last 2 years. But if he doesn't get it this year, especially if he finishes the season healthy, it's going to be a snub. It will be a snub if it goes down that way. I got to say I consider Joel Embiid the MVP for the 76ers team. But point blank, he's in better all around between those two. I got to consider him the MVP. Nothing else really to say. It really isn't. Yeah, I mean, okay, look, two awesome players for sure. Yeah, I got it. Yep. So I'll just leave it at that before I ramble on too long. Now I'm going to get to the final part of this right here. We're going to take a look at the remaining schedule and what's ahead for the 76ers this season. Obviously, first, we got the Cavaliers game tonight. Regardless of what the outcome of that game is, there's no shot that we're going to fall down the seed tonight. However, if we take a look at the remaining regular season schedule after tonight's Cavs game, okay, we got the Hornets Friday. That should be a win. And then we got the Pacers the very next night on Saturday. Well, let's give me one moment. I'm going to scroll. Now I'm pulling the schedule back up. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And then I'm going to share it with you guys. Now let's just forget those ads. Okay, got Cavs tonight, ESPN. Then you got the Hornets and the Pacers. That's 3 straight road games. Remember the last road stretch we didn't do as well. To see how this one goes. Remember, we're coming off. We got 1 day rest where we got to travel to Charlotte. Then we got to travel to Indiana Saturday. That's why it's going to be a little tough having to travel that way and having actually being able to win all 3 games. Even if they look winnable on paper, the factor of having to play on the road means there could be a loss in that stretch or two. Especially if they go from Charlotte to Indianapolis the very next night, you don't have a night in between. Yeah, that could be a tough one right there for them. So don't be surprised if maybe a loss comes out of that. Then you got to come back next Monday. You go to Chicago. You play the Bulls. Then you got to travel all the way to Chicago next week on Wednesday, 1 week from today, and play the Bulls on the road. And then, then Friday, you got a road. Next Friday, you play the Warriors on the road. Then the day after that, you got to travel to Phoenix to play the Suns. They got to travel to play the Nuggets. Oh, that's going to be a tough one over these next couple weeks, especially with all these road games, all this travel, especially with the lack of rest between games. Miss that West Coast stretch. You got to play Golden State. Then you got to go to Phoenix the next night with no rest. Then you only get 1 day rest for the Nuggets. That's going to be tough right there. So don't be surprised we take a few L's in this next couple weeks. And depending on how the Cavs do, who knows where we'll be standings-wise. And then after that road stretch, you get on the 29th of this month, you get the Nuggets, the Mavericks at home. Hopefully we'll do better this time than we did last time. Also depends on who's playing and who's healthy by that time. Then you got the Raptors. That should be a win. They got a road game against the Bucks on the 2nd. We beat them last time, but who knows if we can beat them again. Then you got to play the Celtics. I mean, we struggled with them. Who knows if we can get the win there. Then the Heat. Oh, this looks like a tough way to close the season. Then you got the Hawks and Nets on the road. Ugh. That looks like a tough stretch to close the season out with some of these games right. Ooh. I mean, it could be tough. Who knows? Maybe it could be similar to last year where we maybe drop a seat, or depending on how the rest of the Cavs do, that's going to be the big thing. Maybe we could still stay in the 3rd seed, maybe. But it also depends on how the teams beneath us, like the Cavs. Who's the number 5 seed again? It's not, no, the Nets are the 6th. Oh, the Knicks are the 5 seed. That's right, the Knicks. So it's also going to depend on how teams like the Cavs, the Knicks do, is going to play a factor to where we get in final seedings. I mean, and who knows what could happen between now and then. Someone could get injured. Another team could have multiple injuries. Who knows? There's so many things that we don't know about that you can't predict that could happen that could affect the how the rest of the season goes. However, I will say this. One thing I can say that I'm sure we can all safely agree on, Sixers will at least make the top 6 for sure. I don't see them falling. At most, I see them maybe falling down to the 4 seed, but I don't see them falling to 5 or 6. I see them being somewhere between 2 to 4. I don't see them moving up to the 2 spot unless the Celtics all of a sudden lose a whole bunch of games late. However, I see us still being in good position going into the playoffs. I see us at least having, like I said, between that 2 to 4 seed, and at least us having an advantage, possibly playing a team like maybe the Knicks or the Nets in the opening round. Most likely where it's going to go as of right now. It's a good possibility for the playoffs. But ultimately, we will have to see how everything plays out. First, you got to see how the Sixers play out the rest of the way. How they do on these road stands. How they do in these games with little rest in between. How do the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference do in their remaining games? That's going to have an effect on the seeding. We got to look at those things too, see how that plays out. And then ultimately we got to see what the play-in tournament does. We'll see if that has any effect on the Sixers schedule at all. Ultimately we still got a month left of the regular season. We still have to see what happens, how those teams do. But for the 76ers at this point, we can say they're going into the playoffs for sure. They haven't been officially clinched yet. However, pretty obvious they're going to get in. So we got that going on right there. Then we also have to consider that we still have to see how the rest of the teams do and how the Sixers do. But, yep, time will tell. That's all I got to say for now. So I just wanted to come on here, give you guys my analysis on how the 76ers are doing right now. So far, it's looking mostly positive. Ultimately, though, we're going to have to see how they finish. So, yeah, everyone that tunes in, if you tuned in live or if you caught it after it was recorded live sometime late Wednesday or Thursday, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't done so already, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Most of all, enjoy the rest of your day or night. And until next time, Nicky Stees signing off.